Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 779. I started off with e4 and my opponent went with c6, the Caro-Kann defense. So I went for the advanced variation. This is the way I most often play it. There are other lines here. You can defend the pawn with knight to c3 or knight d2, or you can play with e takes d5, the Panov-Botvinnik attack, which is kind of interesting, leads to an isolated queen's pawn position in a lot of cases, but white has open lines. Black can equalize, I think, with correct play, but anyway, it's an interesting way to play. But I went with the my old favorite, the advanced variation, which I think is considered the most challenging variation for black these days, so probably the best choice overall. And it's not so hard to play as well. You just grab more space and then develop your pieces normally. Let's see, so I come out knight f3, and he played h6, which is a very rare move, and I didn't really take advantage of it, but the chess engine points out some interesting ideas here. So after h6, this wasn't in the opening book, by the way, so this I guess this is just not played. The thing is that normally e6 is played here. And after e6, the queen is guarding this diagonal. But when black played h6 instead, the knight can hop out to the h4 square, which is the engine recommendation. And if the bishop drops back to h7, then you can push on to e6. And this creates a very annoying bind here for black. Taking allows checks along this diagonal. Could be pretty dangerous. Anyway, just an awkward position for black. So bishop d7 is the main move there, or the best choice according to the engine. And after that, you've kind of defeated the purpose of the Caro-Kann. The Caro-Kann is the purpose of it is to get the bishop outside the pawn chain, and you forced it back. So anyway, if you ever see this move bishop f5 followed by something other than e6, which is the main move there, keep in mind this knight h4 idea to punish it. Anyway, let's go back to the opening book. So, backing up. So e6, that's why e6 is the main move there. He went h6. And I went, I didn't spot that idea, so I just continued normal development, and we get back into a main line. He goes e6 now, and you can see the numbers go up after I castle. We're up to 100 games or so in the database. And he went with knight d7. And then I went with c4. c4 is a rare move here, somewhat surprisingly. It looks like the main move here is knight bd2. But there's nothing wrong with c4. I mean, I looked at it with the chess engine, and well, the chess engine's favorite move was c3, but it also thought that c4 was a decent move in keeping some advantage to white. So anyway, we're just out of the opening book at this point. Let's see, he continued knight e7. Pretty normal play, and I went with c5, which is maybe asking a bit much, but I was really expecting black to take the pawn and help me develop my bishop and then play that position. So I pushed on with c5, which is still okay, and he went b6, and now the chess engine says to keep that advantage I need to play this move b4, which I didn't like. I didn't like b4 because of a5, and now if I keep defending with a3, he can take advantage of the pin. My rook is not defended. Something to always keep an eye out, that pin along the a file when you're playing like this. So to meet a5, you have to play b5, and that is not something I would have thought of. At least I didn't think of it calculating that far ahead. Anyway, it leads to kind of a crazy looking position where all kinds of captures are possible, and some slight edge to white, I guess, in the complications. So I just took, and after this it seems like black has equalized. He's got, ideas of playing c5 here to undermine the center. He's got an open file for his rook, so he's doing okay. His congestion on the problem is that his king side is a bit congested, so he has to kind of unwind over here. So, I mean, there's pluses and minuses in black's position, but overall should be about equal. Let's see, I keep developing, knight c3. He goes knight g6. The chess engine really prefers actually dropping the knight back to c8. Well, I mean, it's the same idea. You want to open up a diagonal for the bishop. But the knight on g6 hampers the retreat of this bishop, so this bishop becomes a bit of a target. Let's see, I go bishop e3 here, and he goes bishop e7, and I go rook to c1. Oh yeah, I just wanted to mention bishop to b4 maybe was a slightly more active placement for that bishop, but still okay. I go rook c1, he castles, and then I just go h3. I was going to play g4 there and trap the bishop, or maybe force a trade. The engine plays much more directly. The chess engine says just play knight e1, and now you're threatening g4 immediately, supported by the queen and the bishop. And yeah, looks like that's some edge to white. I cancel that. Anyway, I went with h3. He went with knight h4, and we get some exchanges. And you know, black is okay. So we're back in the range of about even. And, well, we stay this way for quite a long time. And actually, I think this game was pretty well played up to move 26, it looks like. Let's see, I go a3, he goes bishop to g5. And, well, it kind of forces another trade here. This bishop has nowhere to run because there's a pin against the knight here. If I take his bishop, it just brings the queen out, so I just kept maneuvering with my pieces. I want to oppose this bishop. This is kind of restricting my motion over here on the queen side. So I played bishop d3. So he went for the exchanges. He took here first, then he took here, and then he brings his queen out. So he did manage to get his queen to g5 anyway, but there's not enough pieces around for this to be a really dangerous threat. Let's see, I maneuver over with my knight, knight e2. He goes c5 now, breaking on the queen side. Let's see, I think to double my rooks here and looking at this maybe potentially weak pawn on f7. He goes f5, cancel that. He goes f5. And I take it. I don't want him blocking things up here. I want to try and keep some open lines towards his king. He takes with the rook, and I bring my rook over to defend. Oh, cancel that. Did I do something else? Oh, I went rook g3. That's right. I went rook g3 to harass his queen. Queen went to h5. Queen went to h5. I played knight f4, hitting his queen again. Queen dropped back to f7. Yeah, I thought maybe I was getting somewhere during the game, but he always had a place to put his pieces, and he was just equal through all of this. Let's say I was looking to create some difficulties over here on the queen side with queen b5. He takes this moment to take, and then I went rook to c7 here, putting more pressure on his knight, not responding immediately to this pawn. He went rook to d8, defending the knight, and now I went knight g6, and this move should lose with correct play. There was a similar move that the chess engine likes here, which has kind of the same idea. It's knight to h5, and after queen takes, then I can take the knight. That was the idea. I was just trying to distract the queen so I could grab this knight and also get a piece on the 7th rank. Rook takes, queen takes, and I have this threat of mate here immediately, so he's got to drop back. But it turns out that all of this just leads to equality. I mean, we get into a complicated rook and pawn endgame where I have chances because I have the outside passed pawn, but he has this an extra pawn in the center. So, you know, who knows? This game could go either way at this point, and the chess engine rates it as even. So that was knight h5. Instead, I played knight g6 with a similar idea, but there's a problem with this one. If he takes, oh, he didn't play this. He made a mistake too. He didn't take, but I had the same idea. I was going to take, distract his queen, and then grab the knight. Unfortunately, I have to take with the rook. I mean, I really would like to get the queen and the rook lined up this way, but I take with the rook. I'm threatening his rook, but he can keep taking. Now we're down to just queens, and it's his move in this case. We didn't, in the previous sequence, we ended up in a position where I had a mate threat he had to respond to, and I traded, and then I got to take the pawn. In this line, at the end of all the complications, it's black's turn to move, and he gets to take the pawn, and he's just winning here. It's not just about the extra. Let's see, he's got two extra pawns, but it's so far advanced that it's a major threat, and he's just winning. So anyway, so knight g6 was a blunder, and then he just took right away, and that's a blunder because I can take back. But taking back immediately gets me into trouble. There's actually only one move here. I need to save the knight first. So knight to e5, hitting the queen. It's the only move in this position. And then he has to take the knight. The funny thing is, this is, I mean, he can delay it for a move. He can push the pawn first, and I take, and then take the knight. But ultimately, he has to take my knight and give up the queen for a knight and a rook. But that does lead to an even position. So Chess Engine says the best line is knight takes e5. I was going to take the queen, of course. Knight takes f7, and then I grab the pawn. And, he's got a rook and a knight for the queen, but he also has these two pawns in the center. And once again, this is about even. So, but all the other moves lose. There's just too much pressure. So he went with queen h5, and now I just pick up the knight. It was stronger to take with the knight rather than the rook. Not immediately obvious, but I guess it's because the knight is also threatening to take that rook. He does have some checks here. Anyway, the Chess Engine gave a long and complicated line, but rook takes d7 also is winning, because I just stay a piece up here. Take with the knight now, and then he plays rook f7, so trying to, he went rook f7, trying to chase my knight away. Yeah, rook f2 might have been an interesting try there. But yeah, it's true. I have time now to grab the pawn on e3. So he gets this check in, and I played queen to d4, hitting my loose rook. So I drop the rook back, protecting the back rank. Goes queen f4 check. The king drops back. It goes queen f2, hitting my rook. And my rook goes over to g1, defending things. And I think I'm okay from this point. I've kind of consolidated, and he's slowly running out of tricks or threats that he can make. But he continues. I mean, he brings his rook up to f5. He's going to try and gang up on the pawn cover around the king. Let's see, I grab a pawn over here. Let's see, he played rook to h5, and I went king to h2. And he was low on time at this point, which actually is a factor at the end of the game. Let's see, he goes king h7. I go queen d3 check. He went rook f5 blocking, and then I went queen g3 trying to force an exchange. But actually, I had failed to notice that his queen was on my knight. So after queen g3, he lost on time at this point, but he could have just taken the knight, and we are back to an even game. So not that he's winning, but I've suddenly lost the advantage that I had. So in this position, I need to play knight d7 or some other move to just move the knight away and get it back into the game. So queen g3 kind of gave the win away, although it is still a complicated game. After he takes the knight with queens and rooks on the board, it could still go either way. But Chess Engine once again rates it as even. So I gave my opponent one last chance, but he ran out of time before he could take advantage of it. Anyway, interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon. Bye.